The war had lasted 12 years. 12 long years of fire and blood across the stars. The Varaxian Empire had crushed every human colony in its path. Their ships were bigger, their weapons stronger, and their warriors had armor like living metal. Earth was losing. Everyone knew it. Commander Marcus Chen stood in the briefing room, surrounded by the last leaders of humanity. Admiral Park looked older than his years, gray hair and tired eyes telling the story of too many defeats. "They're offering terms," the admiral said quietly. "Peace, but it comes with a price." Marcus already knew what that price was. The message had been clear. The Varaxians wanted a symbol of human surrender. They wanted a marriage between their crown princess and a human officer. Not just any officer. They wanted someone important enough to make it hurt. "They asked for you, Marcus," Admiral Park said. "By name." Marcus felt the weight of those words. He had fought on 15 different worlds. He had led missions behind enemy lines. He had saved thousands of lives with his tactics and his refusal to give up. Now the enemy wanted to parade him like a trophy. "If I refuse?" Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer. "They burn another colony. Maybe two. Maybe Earth itself." The Admiral's voice broke slightly. "We have 3 billion people on Earth. Another 5 billion scattered across what colonies we have left. I can't. We can't watch them all die for pride." Marcus closed his eyes. He saw faces in his memory. His parents killed when the Varaxians hit the farming colony on Harvest Moon. His sister, dead defending the medical station on New Terra. His squad mates. Friends who had fallen one by one across a dozen battlefields. "When do I leave?" Marcus asked. The Admiral looked relieved and guilty at the same time. 2 days. "I'm sorry, Marcus. I know what we're asking you to do." Marcus stood straight, his military training taking over. "You're asking me to save lives, sir? That's what I've always done. This is just a different kind of mission." 2 days later, Marcus stood on a transport ship heading toward the Varaxian homeworld. He wore his dress uniform, medals gleaming on his chest. Each medal represented a battle, a victory snatched from impossible odds. The Varaxians probably saw them as marks of a good fighter. Marcus saw them as reminders of everyone he couldn't save. The Varaxian homeworld was massive. 3 times the size of Earth, with red skies and silver oceans. The cities were built like fortresses, all sharp angles and dark metal. Everything about this place screamed power and dominance. A Varaxian escort met him at the landing pad. They were tall, 7 feet at least, with skin that looked like polished stone and shades of deep blue and gray. Their eyes were golden, without pupils, giving them an alien and unsettling appearance. "Commander Chen," the leader said in perfect English. "I am Captain Vorn. You will come with us." Marcus nodded. He noticed everything as they walked. Guard positions, weapon placements, security protocols. His mind was always working, always analyzing. It was what kept him alive during the war. The palace was enormous, carved from a single mountain of black stone. Inside, thousands of Varaxians filled the halls, all dressed in ceremonial armor. They stared at Marcus as he passed. Some looked curious. Most looked contemptuous. To them, he was a defeated enemy, nothing more. Princess Kyra waited in the throne room. She was tall like all Varaxians, with skin the color of twilight and golden eyes that studied Marcus coldly. She wore armor that looked both ceremonial and functional, silver and black with her family's crest on the chest. "So this is what humanity sends," she said, her voice carrying across the hall. "I expected someone taller." Marcus met her gaze without flinching. "I expected someone who didn't need to marry her enemies to win wars." The room went silent. Several Varaxian guards moved forward, hands on their weapons. But Kyra raised one hand, stopping them. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You have courage, human? Or stupidity?" "I'm not sure which yet. My experience, Princess, they often look the same," Marcus replied. The ceremony was held the next day. It was broadcast across the entire Varaxian Empire, a show of dominance and victory. Marcus stood beside Kyra, repeating words in a language he barely understood. While billions watched humanity's surrender made flesh, but Marcus's mind never stopped working. He counted guards. He memorized faces. He studied the architecture of the palace, looking for weak points and escape routes. It was automatic, instinctive. He might be trapped in this marriage, but he wouldn't be helpless. The reception afterward was worse than the ceremony. Varaxian nobles approached with barely disguised contempt. They made jokes about humans being weak, about Earth being conquered, about Marcus being a pet for their princess. Marcus endured it with quiet dignity. Until General Thax approached. Thax was massive, even for a Varaxian. His armor was covered in victory marks, each one representing a defeated enemy. He had led the fleet that destroyed the colony where Marcus grew up. The famous Commander Chen, Thax said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. I killed many of your kind during the war. They died screaming, begging for mercy. Are you going to beg too? The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Marcus. This was the moment. They wanted to see him break, to see him accept his place as a conquered enemy. Marcus looked up at the general. His voice was calm, steady, without a trace of fear. In Varaxian culture, insults of honor can be answered with challenge combat. Is that correct, General? Thax's golden eyes widened slightly. You would challenge me? I would, Marcus said simply. If I'm to be part of this empire, I'll do it standing up, not on my knees. The silence was deafening. Then someone laughed. Then another. Soon the entire hall was buzzing with excitement. A human challenging a Varaxian general? It was unthinkable. It was entertainment. General Thax's face darkened with anger. You'll die, human, maybe Marcus agreed. But you'll remember fighting me for the rest of your life. Will you accept, or will everyone here see you back down from a human? Thax had no choice. To refuse would be shameful. Tomorrow, he growled. In the combat arena, I'll enjoy breaking you. As the crowd dispersed, buzzing with anticipation, Princess Kyra approached Marcus. She looked at him with something new in her golden eyes. Not respect, not yet, but curiosity. That was either very brave or very foolish, she said quietly. Marcus met her gaze. I've heard that before. X has killed over 100 opponents in challenge combat. He's one of our greatest warriors, and tomorrow should be interesting, Marcus replied. Kyra studied him for a long moment. You're not what I expected, Commander Chen, good Marcus said. I'm counting on that. As he walked to his assigned quarters, Marcus felt the weight of what was coming. But he also felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. This wasn't surrender. This was war by other means, and Marcus Chen had never lost a war he truly wanted to win. She married him to end the war, but he became a one-man army -- part 2, underestimated the combat arena was carved from the same black stone as the palace. It was circular, about 50 meters across, with walls that rose 30 meters high. Thousands of Varaxians filled the viewing stands, golden eyes gleaming with anticipation. Marcus stood in the preparation chamber, wrapping his hands with cloth strips. A human doctor had been allowed to attend him. Dr. Sarah Kim had worked on Marcus's team during the war. Her hands shook as she checked his vital signs. Marcus, this is insane, she whispered. Thax outweighs you by at least 50 kilos. Varaxian bone density is twice that of humans. Their skin is naturally armored. You can't win this. Probably not, Marcus agreed calmly. He was doing stretches, keeping his muscles warm and loose. But I don't need to win, Sarah. I just need to not lose badly. What's the difference? Winning means killing him. Not losing badly means showing them that humans don't break easy. Marcus finished his stretches and looked at her. Everything that happens today, every second I last in that arena, buys respect. Respect buys influence. Influence might save lives down the road. Sarah wanted to argue, but she knew that look in Marcus's eyes. He had already made his decision. Then at least be careful. Varaxian nerve clusters are here, here, and here. She pointed to locations on a diagram. Their joints have natural armor, but the connective tissue behind the knee is vulnerable. Marcus memorized every detail. Thank you, Sarah. The arena doors opened. The roar of the crowd hit him like a physical wave. Marcus walked out into the center of the arena, the red sun beating down on him. He wore simple combat clothes. No armor, no weapons. According to Varaxian tradition, challenge combat was hand-to-hand only. General Thax entered from the opposite side. He wore only pants, showing off his massive torso covered in the natural armor plating that made Varaxians so hard to kill. His arms were thick as tree trunks. His hands could probably crush Marcus's skull like an egg. The crowd was chanting Thax's name. An official stood between them, Varaxian elder in ceremonial robes. The challenge has been issued and accepted. Combat will continue until one warrior yields, is unable to continue, or dies. Do both fighters understand? Yes, Thax growled, never taking his eyes off Marcus. I understand, Marcus said quietly, then begin. The official retreated quickly. Thax didn't waste time. He charged forward with surprising speed for his size, intending to end this quickly. The crowd roared its approval. Marcus didn't meet the charge. He sidestepped at the last moment, letting Thax's momentum carry him past. As the general passed, Marcus struck quickly at the back of Thax's knee, right where Sarah had indicated. It wasn't a powerful blow, but it was precise. Thax stumbled slightly. The crowd's roar changed tone, confusion mixing with excitement. Thax turned, more cautious now. He approached slower, arms raised in a fighting stance. He threw a punch that could have broken Marcus in half. Marcus ducked under it, moved inside Thax's reach, and struck at the nerve cluster near the general's ribs. Thax's breathing hitched slightly. He swung a backhand that caught Marcus in the shoulder, sending him rolling across the arena floor. The impact felt like being hit by a car. Marcus's left arm went numb instantly. The crowd cheered. This was what they expected. The human being crushed, Marcus got to his feet slowly, testing his arm. Still attached, but barely functional. He had to finish this fast, or the damage would accumulate until he couldn't move at all. Thax charged again, more controlled this time. He was learning. That was bad. Marcus had counted on the general underestimating him, being overconfident. But Thax was a veteran of hundreds of battles. He adapted quickly. They exchanged blows. Marcus took hits that would have hospitalized a normal person. His ribs cracked. His left eye swelled shut. Blood ran from his nose and mouth. But he kept moving, kept striking at those vulnerable points. Each hit was surgical, precise, targeting nerves and joints. 10 minutes passed, then 20. The crowd's cheering became uncertain. Thax should have finished this human in minutes. Why was the fight still going? Thax was breathing hard now, something Varaxians rarely did. His left leg was dragging slightly, the repeated strikes to his knee taking effect. His movement was slower, the accumulated nerve damage disrupting his motor control. Marcus wasn't much better. He could barely see out of his left eye. His ribs sent spikes of agony through his chest with every breath. His left arm hung useless at his side. But he was still standing. Humans, Marcus had learned long ago, were persistence hunters. Ancient humans on Earth didn't kill prey by being stronger or faster. They killed by refusing to stop, by chasing animals until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. That was humanity's real strength. Endurance, stubbornness, the refusal to quit. Thax threw another punch. Marcus didn't dodge this time. He took the hit on his shoulder, accepting the pain because it put him exactly where he needed to be. He drove his right hand, rigid like a spear, into the nerve cluster at Thax's solar plexus. The general's eyes went wide. His breathing stopped for a moment. Marcus followed with strikes to both sides of Thax's neck, targeting the nerve channels Sarah had shown him. Thax stumbled backward, his legs not responding correctly. He tried to raise his arms, but they moved sluggishly, the accumulated nerve damage finally overwhelming his system. Marcus didn't press the attack. He stood there, swaying on his feet, watching, waiting. Thax tried to charge one more time. His leg gave out. He fell to one knee, then to both knees. He tried to stand, failed, and fell forward onto his hands. His massive chest heaved as he gasped for air. The arena was completely silent. The official approached cautiously. "General Thax, can you continue?" Thax tried to speak, but only a wheeze came out. He tried to stand again and failed again. Finally, with what looked like enormous effort, he shook his head. "The human wins," the official announced, his voice uncertain. For a moment, nothing happened. Then someone in the crowd started a slow clap. Others joined. Within seconds, the entire arena was roaring. But this time it was different. This time there was respect in the sound. Marcus didn't celebrate. He simply walked over to where Thax knelt, still struggling to breathe. Marcus extended his good hand. Thax looked at the hand, then at Marcus's battered face. After a long moment, he took it. Marcus helped pull the general to his feet. They stood there together, two warriors who had given everything they had. "Like a demon," Thax gasped out. "I fight like a human," Marcus replied. "We don't know how to quit." The crowd went wild. Princess Kyra stood in her viewing box, her golden eyes wide with shock. She had expected to watch the human die. Instead, she had watched him do the impossible. She had watched him defeat one of the Empire's greatest warriors, through sheer determination and tactical brilliance. Later, in the medical wing, Marcus lay in a recovery bed while doctors worked to repair his broken body. Sarah stood nearby, shaking her head in disbelief. "You crazy, brilliant idiot," she muttered. Marcus managed a painful smile. "Did it work? The entire Empire's talking about you. They're calling you the unbreakable human." "Yes, Marcus, it worked." The door opened. Princess Kyra entered, dismissing the doctors with a gesture. She stood at the foot of Marcus's bed, studying him with those unreadable golden eyes. "You could have died," she said finally. "Yes," Marcus agreed. "Why did you do it?" Marcus thought about that. "Because if I'm going to be here, trapped in this palace, married to someone I don't know, representing all of humanity, I needed them to see us as we really are, not weak. Not defeated, just human." Kyra was quiet for a long moment. "My people respect strength above all else. You gave them that today. They'll remember it. Good." She turned to leave, then paused. "I've arranged for you to have quarters with more freedom. You'll still be watched, but you won't be a prisoner. You've earned that much. Thank you." Kira looked back at him. "My father wants to meet you. The Emperor himself. That's unusual. Humans don't usually get an audience." "When?" Marcus asked. "When you can walk without falling over," she said with what might have been the beginning of a smile. "Which, knowing humans now, will probably be tomorrow, even if it should take a week." After she left, Marcus closed his eyes. His body screamed in agony, but his mind was clear. This was just the beginning. He had proven humans could fight. Now he needed to prove they could think. The war wasn't over. It had just changed battlefields. And Marcus. Chen was very good at adapting. She married him to end the war. But he became a one-man army. Part 3. The enemy within 3 weeks had passed since the arena fight. Marcus could walk without pain now, though his ribs still ached when he moved too quickly. His new quarters were larger, with windows overlooking the palace gardens. More importantly, he had freedom to move through certain areas of the palace. He used that freedom well. Every morning, Marcus walked through the gardens, greeting the servants by name. He had learned basic Varaxian, enough to have simple conversations. The servants were surprised at first that this human would speak to them at all. Most nobles ignored them completely. "Good morning," Tehran Marcus said to an older gardener, pruning the silver flowers that grew in the red sunlight. "Good morning," Commander Chen Tian replied, his golden eyes showing warmth. "Your Varaxian is improving. You're a patient teacher," Marcus said. "Tell me, will there be many visitors for the Imperial Festival next month?" "Oh yes," Tian said enthusiastically. Nobles from every sector of the Empire. It's the biggest celebration of the year. Though security gets nervous with so many people arriving at once, Marcus filed that information away. "I'm sure they manage it well," usually Terran said, but something in his tone made Marcus pause. usually? The old gardener looked around nervously, then leaned closer. I shouldn't say anything, Commander, but I've noticed things. Groups of guards meeting in strange places. Conversations that stop when I get near. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe, Marcus agreed. But if you notice anything else, Turen, tell me, please. After Turen left, Marcus stood in the garden, thinking. He had been gathering information for weeks, piecing together the puzzle of palace politics. And something felt wrong. There were patterns in the guard rotations that didn't make sense. Shipments arriving without proper documentation. Officers who should hate each other having secret meetings. It looked like a conspiracy. Marcus needed to tell someone, but who could he trust? He made his way to Kyra's private study. Since the arena fight, she had been more willing to speak with him. Not quite friendly, but no longer hostile. He found her reviewing military reports, her face tight with concentration. She looked up when he entered. Marcus, she said. She had started using his first name recently. I didn't expect you. We need to talk. Privately. Something in his tone made her dismiss her attendance immediately. When they were alone, Marcus spoke carefully. I think there's a conspiracy to overthrow your family. Kyra's golden eyes narrowed. That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? Not yet, but I have patterns. Marcus laid out everything he had noticed. The guard rotations. The secret meetings. The supply shipments. The officers who supported the war faction meeting with those who served under. Kyra listened without interrupting. When he finished, she stood and walked to her window, looking out at the city below. My cousin Vex leads the military faction, she said quietly. He believed the war with humanity should have continued until your complete extermination. My father overruled him to accept the peace terms. Vex was. Not pleased? Is he capable of treason? 6 months ago, I would have said no. Now, she turned to face Marcus. I don't know. Why are you telling me this? If there is a conspiracy and they succeed, you would be free of this marriage. Free to return to Earth. Marcus met her gaze. 3 reasons. First, if they kill your family and restart the war, billions of humans die. Second, I made a commitment when I agreed to this marriage. I keep my commitments. Third, ... Third, she prompted. You're not what I expected either, Kyra. You question things. You think about consequences. The Empire could do worse than someone like you in charge. Kyra looked at him for a long moment. You're either very honest or very good at manipulation, Marcus Chen. Can't it be both? Marcus said with a slight smile. Despite everything, Kira almost laughed. Help me investigate. If you're right, we need proof before we can act. If you're wrong, we need to know that too. They worked together over the next 2 weeks. Kyra used her political access to review records and question officers. Marcus used his growing network of palace servants and lower ranking guards to gather information from the ground level. The picture that emerged was terrifying. The conspiracy was real, and it was massive. At least 30 high-ranking officers were involved. They planned to strike during the Imperial Festival, when security would be stretched thin across the palace grounds. They would kill the Emperor, the Empress, and Kyra. Then they would install Vex as the new Emperor and immediately restart the war with humanity. We need to tell my father, Kyra said, her face pale as they reviewed the evidence. Will he believe us? Marcus asked. I don't know. He still sees you as a defeated enemy, and this implicates his own nephew. Then we need more than evidence. We need to catch them in the act. Kyra looked at him sharply. You want to let the conspiracy proceed? Not all of it, but enough to expose them beyond any doubt. Marcus pointed to their timeline. They're planning to strike at the opening ceremony. If we can predict their exact move, we can have loyal forces ready to counter it. We turn their trap into ours. That's incredibly risky. Yes, Marcus agreed. But if we arrest them now, with just documents and testimony, some will escape. The conspiracy will survive, go underground, strike again later. We need to cut off the head and expose the whole body. Kyra was quiet, thinking. Finally, she nodded. I hate that you're right. But we can't do this alone. We need allies we can absolutely trust. Over the next week, they carefully recruited a small team. Captain Vorn, who had escorted Marcus from the landing pad, proved loyal to Kyra above all else. 3 other guards joined them, all soldiers who had served directly under Kyra's father and owed him their lives. Dr. Sarah Kim insisted on being included to provide medical support. Marcus trained them himself. He taught them tactics that no Varaxian military academy covered. How to fight in small teams. How to use surprise and misdirection. How to strike at leadership and create chaos in enemy ranks. These are guerrilla tactics, Captain Vorn said during one training session. We don't fight like this. I know, Marcus said. That's why they'll work. The conspirators are trained in traditional Varaxian warfare. They expect pitched battles and honorable confrontations. We're going to hit them where they're not looking, the night before the Imperial Festival. Marcus stood in the garden with Kyra. The red sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of crimson and gold. Are you scared? Kyra asked quietly. Terrified, Marcus admitted. But I learned a long time ago that being scared and being ready aren't opposites. You can be both. Oh, I used to think humans were simple, Kyra said. Weak, primitive. You've proven me wrong about everything. Your people aren't what I expected either, Marcus said. I spent 12 years fighting Varaxians, thinking you were all the same. Brutal, ruthless, no mercy. But people like Tyrion, like Captain Vorn, like you, you're more complicated than I thought. Is that a good thing? Yes, Marcus said, because complicated means there's hope. Simple enemies can only destroy each other. Complicated ones might learn to live together. The next morning, the Imperial Festival began. The palace grounds filled with thousands of nobles, officers, and dignitaries from across the empire. Banners flew in the morning breeze. Musicians played traditional Varaxian war anthems. Everything seemed perfect. Marcus and Kyra's team were positioned throughout the crowd, watching, waiting. They had identified the key conspirators through their investigation. Now they just had to wait for them to move. The Emperor appeared on the ceremonial platform, accompanied by the Empress and other royal family members. He began his traditional address to the assembled nobles. Marcus watched Vex standing near the platform, his face carefully neutral. Then it happened. Explosions rocked the eastern wall of the palace grounds. Screams erupted from the crowd. Guards rushed toward the blasts, exactly as expected. But Marcus knew those explosions were a diversion. The real attack would come from inside. Now, Marcus said quietly into his communicator. Captain Vorn and his team moved into position. Marcus pushed through the crowd toward the ceremonial platform. He saw Vex's personal guards moving forward, weapons hidden under their ceremonial cloaks. They were heading straight for the Emperor. Marcus broke into a run. He had to reach them before they reached the Emperor. The crowd was thick, panicking, making it hard to move quickly. He shoved through, ignoring the angry shouts. One of Vex's guards raised his weapon, a plasma pistol aimed at the Emperor's back. Marcus threw himself forward, tackling the guard just as he fired. The shot went wide, scorching the platform instead. Then everything exploded into chaos. Vex's forces revealed themselves. Dozens of conspirators drawing weapons. They had planned for this moment, positioned themselves perfectly. But Marcus had planned too. Captain Vorn's team emerged from strategic positions. Cutting off the conspirators' paths to the royal family, Kyra appeared at her father's side, her own weapon drawn. Father, get back. It's a coup. The Emperor stared in shock at his nephew Vex, who now stood with his weapon openly aimed at the throne. I'm sorry, Uncle, Vex said coldly, but you've made the Empire weak. This ends now. Marcus and Vex locked eyes across the chaos. The real battle was about to begin. She married him to end the war. But he became a one-man army. Part 4. One against many, the ceremonial platform became a battlefield. Vex's elite guards, 12 of the deadliest warriors in the Varaxian military, formed a circle around their leader. They wore full combat armor now, The ceremonial pretense dropped. Each one was a veteran of 100 battles. Marcus had a pistol he'd taken from the guard he'd tackled. "That was it, Commander Chen," Vex called out, his voice carrying across the chaos. "The famous human who defeated General Thax. I've been looking forward to this." Marcus didn't respond with words. He fired 3 quick shots, forcing Vex's guards to scatter and take cover. It gave the Emperor and Empress time to retreat behind Captain Vorn's defensive line. Kyra moved to Marcus's side, her own weapon ready. "There are too many of them. Then we make them afraid there aren't enough of them," Marcus said. He reloaded quickly, his hands moving with practiced efficiency. "Remember what I taught you: fast, aggressive, unpredictable." 2 of Vex's guards charged forward. Marcus and Kyra moved in sync, splitting apart to force the guards to choose targets. The guard chasing Marcus was fast, but Marcus was faster. He slid under the guard's swing, came up behind him, and used the guard's own momentum to throw him into his companion. Kyra fought with a combination of traditional Varaxian technique and the guerrilla tactics. She was learning to be unpredictable, to strike from unexpected angles. Together, they dropped both guards. But 10 more remained. And Marcus could see more conspirators fighting through the crowd toward the platform. They were trying to reach the Emperor to complete their mission. "Vorn," Marcus shouted, "get the Emperor to the secure bunker." "Now, we can't leave you here," Kyra protested. "You have to," Marcus said. "Your father is the target. Get him to safety. I'll buy you time." "Marcus, you'll die." He looked at her, and for a moment, something passed between them. Understanding, trust, maybe more than that. "Probably," he agreed. "But dying, buying time for others, is what humans do best." "Go." Kyra hesitated 1 more second, then ran. Captain Vorn and the loyal guards surrounded the royal family and began fighting their way toward the bunker entrance. The conspirators tried to cut them off, but Marcus drew their attention by taking down another guard with precise shots to the weak points in his armor. Now it was Marcus alone on the platform, facing Vex and 8 elite guards. The odds were impossible. The crowd had fled this area, leaving a clear space around the conflict. It was just Marcus and his enemies. "Brave," said, walking forward slowly. "Foolish, but brave. My guards will tear you apart, human." "They can try," Marcus said. His pistol's charge was low. Maybe 6 shots left? After that, he would be down to hand-to-hand combat against opponents who could break him in half. He thought about General Thax, about that fight in the arena. He had won that by being smarter, more persistent, more willing to take pain to inflict it. Could he do it again? Against 8 opponents? No, probably not. But he could make them pay for every second. The guards attacked together, coordinated assault designed to overwhelm him with numbers. Marcus didn't try to fight them all. He focused on creating chaos, breaking their coordination. He shot one in the knee, causing him to fall into another guard's path. He rolled under a swing, came up inside another guard's reach, and used the guard's own weapon against his companion. It was desperate, brutal fighting. Marcus took hits that cracked ribs, that tore muscle, that left him bleeding from a dozen wounds. But he kept moving, kept fighting, refusing to go down. One guard got behind him, wrapped arms around Marcus in a crushing bear hug. Marcus felt his ribs grinding together, heard something crack. The guard was going to crush him to death. Marcus threw his head back, smashing into the guard's face. It barely fazed the Varaxian, but it loosened his grip slightly. Marcus dropped his weight suddenly, slipped down and out of the hold, and drove his elbow up into the guard's throat. The guard stumbled back, gasping, 4 guards down. For to go, plus Vex. Marcus was running on pure adrenaline now. His body was breaking down, but his mind was still sharp. He saw patterns in their attacks, anticipated their moves. It wasn't enough to win, but it was enough to survive a little longer. Then something changed. New fighters entered the courtyard, but they weren't conspirators. They were palace guards, dozens of them, led by General Thax himself. "The human stands alone," Thax's voice boomed across the space. "No warriors should die without allies." The enemy of my enemy fights beside me. Marcus almost laughed. The general he'd defeated 3 weeks ago was coming to help him. Only in a Varaxian empire would that make sense. Thax and his guards crashed into Vex's forces like a hammer. The odds shifted dramatically. Now, the conspirators were outnumbered and surrounded. But Vex himself charged at Marcus, roaring in fury. You've ruined everything. Your species should be extinct. Marcus was too injured to dodge. Vex's fist caught him in the chest, sending him flying backward. He hit the platform hard, his vision blurring. Vex advanced, pulling a blade from his belt. I'll kill you myself, Vex snarled. Then I'll kill your princess. Then I'll burn every human world to ash. Marcus tried to stand, failed. His body simply wouldn't respond anymore. He'd pushed it past its limits. Vex raised his blade for the killing blow. A plasma shot struck Vex in the shoulder, spinning him around. Kyra stood at the entrance to the platform, her weapon smoking. You'll do nothing, she said coldly. It's over, Vex. Behind her, the Emperor emerged from the bunker, surrounded by guards. He surveyed the battlefield, his golden eyes taking in everything. The dead conspirators, the wounded loyalists, Marcus, barely conscious on the ground, and his nephew, defeated. Arrest them all, the Emperor commanded. Every conspirator. They will face justice. As guards moved to secure Vex and the remaining traitors, Kyra ran to Marcus. She knelt beside him, her hands hovering over his injuries, not sure where to start. You idiot, she said, but her voice was gentle. You glorious, stupid idiot. Did it, ... work? Marcus managed to ask, Yes, my father is safe. The conspiracy is exposed. You did it good. Marcus tried to smile. Told you. I keep commitments. Dr. Sarah Kim arrived with a medical team. They loaded Marcus onto a stretcher carefully. As they carried him away, Marcus heard the Emperor speaking with General Thax. The human fought like one of our greatest warriors, Thax was saying. He stood alone against impossible odds and bought time for the royal family to escape. I've never seen such courage. Neither have I, the Emperor said quietly. Perhaps we've underestimated this species. 3 days later, Marcus woke in the medical wing. His body was wrapped in regeneration bandages, Varaxian medical technology working to repair his extensive injuries. Kyra sat beside his bed, her head resting on her arms. She was asleep. Marcus tried to move, and the slight sound woke her. She sat up quickly, her golden eyes wide. You're awake. How do you feel? Like I fought 8 Varaxian warriors and lost, Marcus said. How bad is it? 3 cracked ribs, torn muscles in both legs, a concussion. And enough bruising that the doctor said you're more purple than pink right now. She paused. You should be dead, Marcus. Yeah, I get that a lot. The doctors say you'll recover fully. It will take time, but you'll heal. She reached out and took his hand. Thank you. You saved my father's life. You saved all of us. It's what I do, Marcus said. Then he remembered something. Wait, you said the conspiracy was exposed? All of it. Kyra's face darkened. Not all. We captured most of the conspirators, including Vex. But some escaped. And Marcus. They sent orders to the frontier fleets. False orders using military codes they stole. They're telling the fleets that the Emperor has been killed and that Vex is the new leader. They're ordering an immediate attack on human space. Marcus felt his blood run cold. When the fleets will reach the border in 3 days. Maybe 4. We're trying to send recall orders, but the communication channels are compromised. We can't guarantee the fleets will get our messages before they attack. How many ships? 200 warships. Enough to destroy every human colony. Enough to burn Earth itself. Marcus closed his eyes. After everything, after all the fighting and sacrifice, humanity was still going to die. The conspiracy had won after all. No, he said, opening his eyes. We're not done yet. Marcus, you can barely move. You need to rest. There's no time for rest. Marcus forced himself to sit up, ignoring the screaming pain. How fast can you get me to a ship? What are you planning? To stop the fleet myself if I have to, Marcus said. I didn't survive a war, survive a duel, survive a coup, just to watch humanity burn from a hospital bed. Get me a ship, Kyra. I'm going to end this. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. I'll do better than that. I'm coming with you, Kyra. You don't have to. Yes, I do, she interrupted. We started this together. We'll finish it together. Besides, you need me. The fleet might not listen to a human, but they'll listen to the Crown Princess. Marcus met her gaze and saw the determination there. She had changed since that first day in the throne room. Or maybe she hadn't changed. Maybe he just finally saw who she really was. Then let's go save 2 empires, Marcus said. Just 2? Kyra asked with a slight smile. I thought you humans always aimed higher. Despite everything, Marcus laughed. It hurt his ribs terribly. But it felt good. Outside, preparations were already beginning. Time was running out. The final battle was approaching. She married him to end the war, but he became a one-man army Part 5. The man who ended 2 wars. The ship was called the Storm's Edge, a fast courier vessel designed for speed rather than combat. Marcus stood on the bridge, his body still wrapped in medical bandages under his uniform. Every movement hurt, but he had learned to function through pain years ago. Kyra stood beside him, ready in her command armor. Behind them were Captain Vorn, Dr. Sarah Kim, and a small crew of loyalists. The Emperor himself had come to see them off. If you fail, the Emperor said quietly, humanity dies. But more than that, the Empire will be stained with dishonor. We will have broken a peace treaty through treachery. That shame will last forever. We won't fail, Marcus said, with more confidence than he felt. The Emperor studied him. I misjudged you, Commander Chen. I thought bringing you here was a show of dominance. Instead, you've shown us what your species truly is. Perhaps this peace was always meant to be more than a treaty. Perhaps, Marcus agreed. They launched within the hour, pushing the Storm's Edge to its maximum speed. They had maybe 2 days to intercept the fleet before it reached human space. 2 days to convince 200 warships to stand down. Commanded by officers who thought they were following legitimate orders, Marcus spent the time planning. He reviewed everything he knew about Vraxian military protocol, fleet command structure, and the psychology of their warriors. He also reviewed what he knew about the fleet's commander, Admiral Kresh. The admiral was old-school military, honorable but rigid. He would follow orders from what he believed was legitimate authority. We can't just tell him the orders are fake, Marcus said to Kira as they studied tactical displays. He'll think we're the conspirators trying to trick him. Then what do we do? Marcus thought for a moment. We give him something he can't ignore. Something that proves beyond doubt that the conspiracy is real and that he's being used. Like what? Like me, Marcus said. Think about it. Everyone knows I'm married to you. Everyone knows I'm on the homeworld. If I show up in person, leading a ship, clearly working with you, it proves something is wrong with his orders. It creates doubt. That's a start, but doubt won't be enough to stop 200 ships. No, Marcus agreed. For that, I'll need to challenge the fleet's honor. Make them prove they deserve to attack. Make them question if they're being brave warriors or just pawns in someone else's game. Kyra looked at him with something like wonder. You're going to shame them into standing down? Or die trying? Marcus pulled up the communication protocols. I'll broadcast on all frequencies. Not just to the Admiral, but to every ship, every crew member. Let them all hear. Let them all decide. They emerged from faster-than-light travel at the fleet's projected location. The tactical display lit up with red icons. 200 Vraxian warships in attack formation, less than 6 hours from the human border. They've spotted us, the pilot called out. They're hailing us. Audio only. Put them through, Kyra commanded. Admiral Kresh's voice came through the speakers, deep and authoritative. Unidentified vessel, you are entering a military operation zone. Identify yourself immediately. Kyra activated the communication system. Admiral Kresh, this is Crown Princess Kyra. Stand down your attack immediately. You are following false orders from traitors. There was a pause. Princess Kyra, we received word that the Emperor was dead, killed by human conspirators. That you had been taken hostage. That is a lie, Admiral. My father lives. The coup was stopped. The orders you received were from traitors within our own military. Stand down. Another pause, longer this time. Forgive me, Princess, but I cannot verify your claim. You could be under duress. The orders I received came through proper channels with correct authorization codes. Without proof, I cannot abort a legitimate military operation. Marcus stepped forward. Admiral, this is Commander Marcus Chin. Maybe you've heard of me. The human who married the princess. Yes, I've heard. The stories say you defeated General Thax in personal combat. They're true. I'm also the human who helped stop the coup attempt 3 days ago. I'm here, on this ship, working with Princess Kyra. Does that sound like your orders are correct? It sounds like you've corrupted the princess and her judgment, Kresh replied coldly. You humans are clever. This could be a trick to save your species from righteous punishment. Marcus felt his frustration rising. The Admiral was too rigid, too certain. Words alone wouldn't work. Admiral, I'm going to make you an offer. A challenge. Varaxian tradition, as I understand it. What challenge? I will come to your flagship personally. Alone? Unarmed? You can verify I'm not under duress. We'll present our evidence. If you still believe your orders are legitimate after seeing everything we have, then continue your attack. But if there's even a chance you're being manipulated into starting an unjust war, you owe it to your honor to verify the truth. Silence on the other end. Marcus could imagine the Admiral weighing his options, caught between duty and doubt. And if this is a trick? Kresh asked finally. Then you'll have me, the famous human warrior, as your prisoner. You can execute me publicly and continue your attack. Either way, you get what you want. More silence. Then, come aboard the flagship, Commander Chen. Alone. The princess may send you verification files, but she stays on her ship. If you try anything, both vessels will be destroyed. Understood, Marcus said. He looked at Kyra. Send me over. Marcus, this is insane. What if he doesn't believe us even after seeing the evidence? Then I'll have to convince him another way, Marcus said quietly. Captain Vorn prepared a shuttle while Marcus gathered the evidence files. Kyra walked with him to the shuttle bay. You're always doing this, she said, her voice tight. Always putting yourself in impossible situations. Always risking everything. What I'm good at, Marcus said. I hate it. She grabbed his arm, stopping him. I hate that you do this. I hate that it works. I hate that I'm starting to. She stopped, the words catching. Marcus looked at her. Starting to what? Care, she finished quietly. I'm starting to care what happens to you. This wasn't supposed to happen. You were supposed to be a political arrangement, a symbol, but you're more than that now. Marcus reached out and touched her face gently. You're more than I expected to. When this is over, maybe we should talk about that. When this is over, you're taking a month off to actually heal, Kyra said firmly. I'm tired of watching you almost die. Deal. The shuttle launched, carrying Marcus toward the massive flagship at the center of the fleet. As he approached, he could see the ship's weapons were armed and tracking his shuttle. One wrong move, and he would be vaporized. The shuttle docked, and Marcus stepped out into a corridor lined with armed guards. They escorted him to the flagship's command bridge, where Admiral Kresh waited. The Admiral was older, his stone-like skin marked with the scars of a long military career. His golden eyes studied Marcus with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. So this is the human everyone talks about, Kresh said. You don't look that impressive? I get that a lot, Marcus replied. Usually right before I prove them wrong. Despite himself, Kresh almost smiled. Show me your evidence. Marcus presented everything. Documentation of the conspiracy. Recordings of Vex's confession. Testimony from captured traitors. Medical records from the coup attempt showing when and how the false orders were sent. Every piece of proof they had gathered, Kresh reviewed it all carefully, his expression growing darker with each file. Finally, he looked up. This is ... troubling. If true, it means we've been manipulated. Used as weapons by traitors. It's true, Admiral. I swear it on my honor as a soldier. The honor of a human, Kresh said slowly. 3 months ago, I would have laughed at those words. Human honor meant nothing to us. But I've been hearing stories about you, about how you fight, about how you never break. He paused. Tell me, Commander Chen, why did you really come here? You could have let us attack. Let our fleet become trapped in human space while you eliminated the conspiracy at home. It would have been tactically sound. Marcus met his gaze steadily, because billions of innocent people would die. Humans and Varaxians, both. Because this war was supposed to be over. Because I made a promise to end it, and I keep my promises. Kresh was quiet for a long time. My orders were clear. Attack at dawn, destroy all human military installations, prepare for planetary bombardment. Those orders were written by traitors who wanted to restart the war for their own power. Following them makes you their tool. Or, Kresh said slowly, not following them makes me a traitor myself. How do I know you're telling the truth? How do I know this evidence hasn't been fabricated? Marcus realized they had reached the critical moment. Evidence wasn't enough. Logic wasn't enough. He needed something more. Admiral, you want proof? Then contact the homeworld directly. Speak to the Emperor yourself. Verify through channels that can't be faked. Communication is too slow. By the time I get verification, we'll already be at the border. Then make a choice, Marcus said. Choose between blind obedience and conscious honor. Choose between being a warrior or being a weapon. That's what this comes down to, isn't it? Are you a soldier following orders, or are you a leader responsible for your actions? Kresh's eyes flashed. You dare question my honor? I question whether you're letting others define your honor for you, Marcus said calmly. In my military, we had a saying. Orders tell you what to do, but honor tells you how to do it. And sometimes honor means questioning if the orders themselves are right. Humans have no concept of true honor, really. Marcus stepped closer. Then let me tell you about honor, Admiral. Honor is my people fighting for 12 years against impossible odds and never surrendering. Honor is me agreeing to marry someone I'd never met to save billions of lives. Honor is Princess Kyra helping me stop a coup, even though it meant fighting her own family. Honor is me standing here, unarmed, surrounded by your guards, because I believe you're a good enough leader to see the truth. The bridge was completely silent. Every officer present was listening. You want to know what human honor looks like? Marcus continued, his voice carrying across the bridge. It looks like us surviving. It looks like us adapting. It looks like us never, ever giving up, no matter how many times we're knocked down. You had us beaten. Your empire was stronger, bigger, better equipped. But we were still fighting. We would still be fighting when your great-grandchildren were old. That's human honor. The refusal to quit. Admiral Kresh stared at him for a long moment. Then he turned to his communication officer. Open a channel to the entire fleet. All frequencies. Every ship, every crew member, sir. The officer asked, confused. Do it. The officer complied. A light indicated the channel was open, broadcasting to all 200 ships. Kresh spoke clearly. This is Admiral Kresh, to all fleet personnel. We have received information that our attack orders may have been issued by traitors attempting to manipulate the Empire. I am ordering a hold on offensive operations while we verify the truth. Murmurs rippled across the bridge. Someone protested. Admiral, we can't just stop based on unverified claims. No, Kresh agreed. We can't. Which is why I'm going to let everyone decide. He gestured to Marcus. Say what you need to say, human. Speak to my fleet. Marcus hadn't expected this, but he adapted quickly. He stepped forward to the communication console. My name is Commander Marcus Chen. Some of you might know me as the human who fought General Thax, or the human who married Princess Kyra, or maybe you just know me as part of a defeated enemy species. He paused, gathering his thoughts. I came here today because I believe something important. I believe that most soldiers, regardless of which species they are, want to fight for the right reasons. They want to protect their people. They want to serve with honor. They don't want to be used as tools for someone else's ambition. I know. You think you're following legitimate orders to restart the war with humanity? But those orders came from traitors. Traitors who tried to kill your emperor. Traitors who tried to murder Princess Kyra and her family. Traitors who failed in their coup and are now trying to use you to finish what they started. You continue this attack, billions will die. Human civilians. Varaxian soldiers. All for nothing except one man's failed grab at power. That's not honor. That's not duty. That's just murder. I know what you're thinking. Why should you trust a human? Why should you believe me? I can't answer that. I can only tell you what I know. The war is over. The treaty is signed. The only people who want it restarted are the ones who lost power because of peace. Well, I'm asking you, all of you, every soldier in this fleet, do you want to be warriors? Or do you want to be weapons? Warriors think,